If you know me, you know that one of my favorite artists at the moment is young Nudy, who just recently released his newest album called Gumbo. I'm sure at some point in this series I'll end up covering that project and all of young Nudy's other projects, but in this video here I'm going to be talking about one of his earliest mixtapes, probably the mixtape that first started to gain him a bit of notoriety outside of Atlanta, and that would be the first mixtape in the Slimeball trilogy. You'll kind of notice as I go along in this series that a lot of times the projects I'm going to choose to cover are going to be older projects from artists who have recently released newer stuff, and that's because I'm just the type of person who, when one of my favorite artists drops something new, I kind of just start binging their discography, listening to all their old stuff that I already love. I just go through like a week-long phase of playing a bunch of that artist's music. So that's what's been bringing me back to this tape lately, and I definitely think it's a special one in Nudy's catalog. First of all, the production on this thing, the bulk of it is handled by Pierre Bourne, but you also have some Jetson-made beats in here. You have a Metro beat, a Dolan Beats produced track right at the end, so all the production is pretty much from some of the greatest modern-day trap producers out there. And in particular, I have to say, if you're a big Pierre Bourne fan, if you love his production, you love his beats, but you've never heard this tape here, you're in for a lot of pleasant surprises, because in my opinion, some of Pierre's best beats he's ever made appear on this project. And that's one thing that's been extremely consistent across Nudy's entire catalog. The man has one of the best ears for beats in the entire industry. His beat selection, which I find is a pretty underrated aspect when people consider how great of an artist a rapper is. Like, beat selection is so damn important. So many artists could have been so much greater than they were or currently are if they just had a better ear for beats. So many artists, I won't throw anybody under the bus, but who are amazing rappers, are so great as vocalists or as technically proficient performers, but their lack of a good ear for beats just leads to them having discographies that underwhelm and don't pull you in. But with Nudy, it's something that I never really have to worry about. Not only does he have a great ear for beats, but he's also shown that he loves to hop on a lot of weirder, more out there production with more experimental aspects laced into more typical trap formulas. You see that with songs on this project like Yeah Yeah, with those rippling, washed out synths that just cascade into the rest of the grander walls of more immersive synths. You have Playin, which this might be my favorite song on the project. Actually, scratch that. Not might be. It is my favorite song on this project, one of my favorite young Nudy tracks in general, and it's the one Metro Boomin produced track on here. Not only is the beat great, but the way it's mixed just leads to some really cool sonic effects. You have this really hollow, skeletal feel to the keys and to some of the snares and kicks, and it just gives the track this really ghastly, ghoulish aura that I really love. And also there's this kind of electric bass that kind of shreds across the track, especially the moment near the end where some of the main synths kind of cut out and it just becomes a more barren track. And when young Nudy goes, I mix that drink with that Watson, like that part of the song when the instrumental kind of cuts out, and then you have that bass just swell up in the mix and rip across the track like an electric current. It's just such a jolt of energy, and mixed with young Nudy's kind of squawkish, weird, almost bird-like vocals, like he sounds like a freaking pterodactyl on this track or something to me. I got a whole lot of shooters and they geeking on them Zans. Definitely a great showcase, not just of Nudy's great ear for beats, but also how unique and off-kilter and oddball he can be as a performer, which he showcases a great versatility on a lot of these tracks as well. The different pockets and bags and vocal registers and deliveries that he can give you throughout a project. You have a song like Trapaholic where he sounds so light and delicate and weightless and just smoothly floats across the track, not really punching out with any of his syllables. It's all just kind of a light glaze across the top of the track that works really well on top of the more chill, funky beat on that one. You have songs like Sweep or Ice Chain or Bad News where he just performs with such a menacing, commanding swagger, forcefully pronouncing every word, just sounding downright evil. On Been Thuggin' or Don't Trust Y'all, he just has this reserved, cold, icy feel where he still sounds evil, but it's more so kind of like the mob boss sitting in his chair playing the strings from behind the scenes, more so than that guy in the field who's gonna run up in your face and just be all about that action. And then you have his flows, which are often very creative and exciting and varied as well. A few times across this project you do see similar flows pop up, but I think on the whole he does a great job spicing things up in that department. You listen to Trapaholic, Ain't Playin. I especially love the way he raps on a song like Spaced Out, where it's almost like this ramble-on flow, which seems a bit formless, doesn't really stay locked into any cadence or pocket, just seems very stream of conscious, spur of the moment. This is a way of rapping that he came to use more and more as his career went along, and frankly is the flow that kind of grabbed my ear to him in the first place with projects like Slimeball or Faded in the Booth or Anyways. It feels so unpredictable, it feels kind of unreplicable on a level, and although he's not bringing the most varied content or dense lyrical abilities, I do find his words often highly enhance a song, especially just the way he'll say stuff. I just find so entertaining. There's lots of moments, little bars or choruses he say that just get stuck in my head, like Courtney Money, I'm running it off with your pack, I'm taking it off, I'm a blood man, I feel like Gucci man, I just rolled up another blunt, 2 cans Sam, ooh we front street, I'm all up on the block, man, you know I got to eat. I could give a lot more examples, but I'll stop here with these not the best impressions. But yeah, Nudy as a performer, as a rapper, and as an artist, he just checks so many boxes for me personally. And I think a lot of what makes him great is on display on this mixtape right here. And I think it's kind of the first mixtape that he made that shows those strengths to their full potential. I will also say there's kind of a beautiful oxymoronic element to this album where the sound of it is so pitch black, is so evil, is so menacing. It's one of the darkest trap projects I've ever heard, but is simultaneously so colorful and full of character and so bouncy and buoyant and fun. And I know that just sounds like a complete contradiction, calling this thing pitch black in sound and then also saying it's colorful and buoyant, but you kind of just got to listen to this thing to know what I mean, because it somehow really does manage to be both those things at the same time. And the last thing I'll say here is that young Nudy to me is just a great rap villain, in the sense that the persona he's putting on in his music is just downright evil, downright almost like sociopathic. He's so malevolent, so cold-blooded. But like any great villain, all of his projects have moments where he shows moments of vulnerability, moments of self-awareness. On this project, that would come in the form of a song like Rough Life, where he's more sentimentally reflecting on how hard his life has been, on all the shit he's been through, on how hardened he's become from his environment, how the way he is as this villain character is more just like a survival tactic as a result from the environment he grew up in. You know, you have songs on here where he's talking about 9 years old, he had to watch the block, 10 years old, he had to hide the Glock. Like, you grow up doing that type of shit 9 and 10 years old, like that fucks you up, right? And I just feel like he illustrates that really well. And then also the reason I think he's a great villain is because that villainous stuff, like, it really just stays to the music. You take someone like Tekashi 6ix9ine, who would probably, you could call him another rap villain. Like, first of all, in my opinion, he just makes bad music, but then also most of his villainous stuff is just him being a horrible human being and doing really stupid, awful stuff outside of his music. Like, I feel like people forget this all the time. At least I forget this all the time, and I just randomly remember sometimes. Like, the man literally tried to kill Chief Keef for basically no reason other than, like, clout chasing and just being a total fucking clown. Like, and that's just one of the many laundry list of horrible things, including being a pedophile, that 6ix9ine has done. Young Nudy, on the other hand, look, I don't know the guy at all. I have no idea what he's done in his personal life, but at least to this point in his career, he's just been chilling. He hasn't been caught up in any kind of scandals. He's doing his thing, making his music. Yes, given his past, where he's come from, I'm sure he's done some things in his life that are morally questionable at best, but it seems like since he's become a famous artist, again, he's just sticking to himself, not trying to make any wrong moves, just throwing himself into his art and letting it speak for himself. And so in that sense, I just have a lot of respect for him as an artist as well. So yeah, clearly I think this is an awesome mixtape. I would actually personally call this like one of the trap essentials. That's probably a video I should make someday, you know, just kind of the essential trap albums and mixtapes, like for people getting into trap to listen to. You know, I feel like the ones that are always thrown out there, Barter 6, Rodeo, DS2, King by T.I., Thug Motivation by Jeezy, Chicken Talk, Gucci Mane, like all those are great albums that I love and are definitely great trap essentials. But like if I was making my essential list, I think I'd put this first Slimeball mixtape in there. I don't even know if it's my personal favorite Nudy project, because that's the other thing about Nudy, is all his projects are just held to such a high level of of consistency in my mind that it kind of does get hard to rank them, but I think just this being the first project that is really the genesis of Young Nudy's current sound, given the names on production here, given that this came out in 2016 when this sound was a lot newer, a lot fresher, like to me this is probably the Young Nudy project I would put in like an essential trap music list. I don't know how I forgot to mention this when I initially recorded, but the song Real Right, with that Mozart sample and those amazing ad-libs, especially on the chorus when, you know, after he says Percocet, Molly, and some Xannies, he gives us the ad-lib. Like, man, just Real Right is definitely a highlight and definitely a clear standout, especially with that sample. But again, just like the way he uses it, definitely another example of this mixtape being a fire. But that's all the thoughts I have about this project for today. Let me know any of your own thoughts on it down in the comments below, and thank you guys as always for watching, and I'll see you next time.